Welcome to the Sam and Joe VA Show, where we teach women just like you how to create your very own in-demand virtual assistant business.
We're your hosts, Sam and Joe, and get ready to have the control, flexibility, and freedom you've always dreamed of.
Welcome to episode 5, the best website platform for virtual assistants. And so we have the lovely Jason Tiller here from Rocket Spark. So welcome, Jason. Thanks so much for joining us. Really excited to get into talking about all things website and Rocket Spark.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thanks, team, for having me. It's always a privilege to hang out with you guys.
Oh, it's lovely to see you. And, we've got such a great relationship with Rocket Spark, with the virtual assistant community. So it's awesome to have you here and for you to tell our community a little bit more about Rocket Spark. So where did it start? Where did it begin?
So Rocket Spark started, I think, 11 years ago now in a Waikato University student flat, as where all of the best startups start. And it was founded by 4 dudes who still work in the business, like really closely. So 2 of our developers were the founders, Richard and Lee, and then kind of the design and business side of the business were Grant and Jeremy Johnson. And so Grant was living in the UK at the time, and then the 3 guys sort of built the platform and away they went. But it actually started out as a web kind of design agency. They were designing websites bespokely or bespoke like. Yeah. And so as they started building more and more websites from scratch, they realized that they could save a lot of time and effort by having something that was a bit more standard. And that's where Rocket Spark, as it is today, kind of came from. So it's been a long journey for them. I've only been in the business almost a year, but the growth that we're seeing now is just so positive, and the community is really supportive. So being based in little old Cambridge, New Zealand, has done a lot for us. And what's really neat is that you can stand in the middle of Cambridge Main Street, throw a tennis ball, and you'll probably hit a business with a Rocket Spark website.
Oh, that's very cool. Isn't it so awesome that New Zealanders just really have this passion to support other local businesses in New Zealand? And I think because we're such a small little village country, yeah, it just feels really nice to be able to, do business with people just right there next door, especially in somewhere like Cambridge, which is a very cute town that I grew up in the Waikato. So yeah, I know it well.
So yeah, no, you're right. And I think, and we'll probably talk about this a little bit later, but the impact of COVID-19 has really kind of brought home the idea of supporting local. We've done a lot of hard work over the last few months to try and help, businesses that have supported us for so long, help them get through they're struggling with. So yeah.
Awesome. So let's talk about the Rocket Spark platform, because we know that there are those who think that, you have to get an open source website. Like that's just the be all and end all. It has to be open source because then you own it and, it can't just disappear. So what do you say to those who are considering open source or Rocket Spark?
Yeah, that's always a good question. And look, there's pros and cons for both of those things. The Rocket Spark ethos is around simplicity. So when you engage with a Rocket Spark website, it's a very standard set of functionality. That you can do some really amazing stuff within the parameters, but you can't go outside of those parameters. So what that means for you is, as a website designer or a website user, is that it's easy to get going. The open source elements, generally you find that if something is open source, people can find ways to exploit that open sourceness. So as far as I'm aware, we have never had a hacked website or a security breach of any kind because of the closedness of our code base. Whereas with something like WordPress, their code base is available to anybody and everybody. So it takes only a bad intent for someone to sit down and comb through the code to find holes in it and to exploit those holes. The other issue too with that sort of stuff is that you have to continually make sure that you have the latest version of it. You're always got to make sure you've got your latest WordPress plugins. You've got to make sure you've got your latest security bits and pieces. And so it can be quite time consuming and quite tricky sometimes, especially if you've got, say, a web design agency who charge you $1,000 a month to keep the security and stuff going. It can become quite expensive. So something like Rocket Spark so we take subscription fees, and a subscription-based payment fee knows that you know exactly how much your website's going to cost you each month or annually if you wanted to go down that path. And it can take the headache out of making sure that your security is there, all the features are updated, so on and so forth, because we do all that for you. So that's kind of the advantage of it. The other thing is people go, well, what happens to my data? Who owns my data? Well, you do. We're just the container for it. So if you decided for some very unusual reason that you didn't want to be a Rocket Spark customer anymore, all of that data, so if you've got an e-commerce shop with us, you can take all of your customer data with you. You can export all of your products, your transaction history, all that sort of jazz. You can take it with you when you leave. There's nothing stopping you from copying and pasting your web content into other web platforms. So yeah, but I think especially for the VAs that are listening to this, the knowledge that you can have a safe, secure website for a small monthly or annual fee is probably the biggest reason why you would choose us over an open source platform.
Yeah, I mean, you've just made it so easy, haven't you? It's so user friendly. You've got the drag and drop thing, which everybody loves because it's so intuitive. And as you said, it's such a quick way to get started. There's no people can do it themselves. And, with the current climate, we've got a lot of virtual assistants that are looking to save money. So what better way to be able to make your own website that's safe and secure, but still looks stunning, because they're simple, but they're stunning websites that you can create through Rocket Spark, and you can continue maintaining it yourself and grow. As your business grows, it's super easy for then your website to grow with you, isn't it?
That's right. Absolutely. And so the other thing too is that Rocket Spark could be a revenue stream for your business. Because it's so easy, you can offer that service to your clients and you say, hey, look, you're my local electrician and I've been doing some bookkeeping stuff for you and doing a couple little social media updates for you. I can do a website for you too. It's that simple. And I'm backed by the support team at Rocket Spark. So if I run into any problems, I can give them a call on their 0800 number. I can send them unlimited amounts of emails and they will bend over backwards to help me help you. So yeah, it's a really compelling opportunity, I think, for those VAs out there wanting to add another string to their bow.
Absolutely. And so how do they do that? Like, what's the option for them?
So we have what we call our partner program. And our partner program is pure and simple in the fact that you create what's called a Design Studio account, and you can see all of the websites that you manage in your Design Studio. So you don't need to remember different logins and email passwords and stuff for all of the clients that you're looking after. You've got a single point of access into those websites. And then within that, able to earn some commission on the websites that you have with us. A little bit of passive income, I think, is the dream for anybody. And some of our bigger partners that are sitting around the 100 websites mark. Last year, one of my favorite ones, she managed to take her family to Italy for a holiday on her commission payments. So,
oh, wow, that's amazing.
Very, very cool. It can be quite a lucrative enterprise. But the other thing that we offer is we have really cool partner support. So we have a lot of content. We do a lot of webinars. We do a design conference where you can come along and learn some really cool design principles. And then what we're starting to see, which I really like, is our partners partnering up with other partners. So we have pure play kind of digital marketing partners. We've got partners who are photographers. We've got partners who are graphic designers, and they're all forming these kind of little sort of virtual agencies and are helping each other out with bits and pieces for their other clients. So it's a really cool community to be a part of. I definitely recommend you, if you're thinking about offering websites as a service, have a look at us and see what we can do for you. So yeah, I'm sure Joe and Sam, you'll have some links and stuff after this.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. So we'll have links down in the show notes.
Cool. Yeah. So I look forward to having you guys come along and sign up. It'll be awesome.
That's so cool. Now, what we've seen a lot in the virtual assistant world, especially the past few weeks with COVID-19, is work dried up for a couple of weeks. Everyone was really wary about handing over work to their virtual assistant. So we had a couple of weeks where there was very little work coming through. But then as soon as we kind of started coming out of that level 3 kind of stage, everything ramped up. And we have been seeing a lot of small businesses that weren't previously online, all of a sudden desperate to have an online presence that looks really professional, but being able to do it really quickly. Really fast.
That's right. Yeah, I would say that the whole COVID-19 situation really kind of emphasized the need for a good digital presence. From our own kind of research that we've done over the past couple of weeks, just to see, oh geez, what happened. And one of the things that we saw, which was just absolutely amazing, was the acceleration in e-commerce and e-commerce sales. So I think it was like the second week into level 3, we did 293% more e-commerce dollar value transactions than we did in the Christmas period for last year.
Wow.
So the increase it was massive. And for us, it wasn't just retail purchases. It was actually quite a lot of food and beverage. So Good George is a great beer brand here in the Waikato, and they use Rocket Spark to sell their beer and cider online. They also launched a hand sanitizer right in the middle of lockdown. And so all of that was transacted through the Rocket Spark platform. And that contributed quite significantly to that increase. But the other thing was it was food. So we have quite a few restaurants now that use Rocket Spark to sell. They were selling meal kits, but they're also selling pre-prepared meals. And so, yeah, massive increase in those. But what it's also done for us is it's also made us realize that we are in a really privileged position. We as a business grew really rapidly through that period. And we are so aware of all the other people that were out there struggling through the same time. So I can sit here and say, oh yeah, we did so amazingly, but I'm also got to be super aware that, there are other people out there struggling and still struggling now. And so we have a really good sort of COVID-19 education series that we produced during that period. So they were ebooks that we produced for different sectors to try and give them some strategies into how to manage their business through that period using digital tools. One of my favorite ones was actually for pharmacies. And we talked them through the sort of options that they could have to be able to do online consultations, to be able to recommend medicines and products, and to be able to take payment online and then connect them up with a delivery service. So that was the kind of thing that, we're really aware of as well.
That's so good. Yeah. And you know what? Yes, we have to be aware that everyone's in a different boat and everyone's been affected in different ways. But I actually think hearing your story, Jason, Rocket Spark's story, and hearing how you've kind of come out of COVID, it's also really inspiring. And I think it's going to give a lot of businesses a lot of hope hearing that, there are businesses that are doing well and you can as well.
Yeah, that's right. And the other thing too, Sam, is what I was quite surprised about was the amount of referrals we were getting. So we have what's called a Do It For Me program. So when you go to the Rocket Spark website, you can decide to build the website yourself, or you can click a, hey, can I get someone to do it for me button. When those leads come through to us, we match them up with our partners that fit the profile the best, and we effectively give them a business lead. But in January and February, we get, a good sort of 30 or 40 referrals a month. And when March and April came along, I thought, okay, geez, we're not going to get, anybody really inquiring to have websites built for them. And again, we were fairly steady with those leads. And it was a really wide range of businesses looking for websites. So we had lawn mowing businesses, landscaping businesses, we had beauty therapists. There was a great one that we got from Australia, which is a gel nail wholesale company. Shout out to Jellyfit, fantastic website. And it was really, really encouraging to see that these businesses had a fairly positive outlook for the future. There was a kitchenware shop in Cambridge, and Barb, if you listen to this, good luck with the future. But she bought a kitchenware business that settled on the 1st of March. Now, taking over a kitchenware business that had no online presence, she went and invested quite heavily in getting that thing up and running in time for the lockdown period, which I thought was so brave of her. She paid for professional photography for, I think, nearly like 1,000 products, as well as like she got her Vend point of sale integration going, so she could sell physical items and online items using the Vend stock management system. She set up payment gateways and a subscription service. So for example, if you have a certain kind of coffee machine, you can buy the coffee filters on subscription. So every week you get charged $20, and then the next day a set of coffee filters arrives for your machine. And I thought that was an awesome thing to see. So well done, Barb. It's Simply Divine Kitchens in Cambridge. Big shout out.
Oh, lots of good plugins for plugins. I've got my WordPress on the mind. Lots of good plugs there for lots of lovely businesses through Cambridge. So that's awesome, Jason. And so that just made me realize too that as you were talking about those add-ons and things like that, that's a really great specialty service opportunity for virtual assistants to help businesses like those actually get everything online and start their own e-commerce site and do that for a client. So yeah, that's a really great specialty service that VAs could offer.
Yeah, for sure.
Sorry, Jason, the thing that I really love about your e-commerce side of things is the fact that you have that integration with lay-by and afterpay, which is huge. As you know, Jason already knows this. I actually specialize in Squarespace websites. However, I've done a lot of work for my clients' Rocket Spark website, so I do know how amazing it is. But comparing that to the e-commerce options that Squarespace give you, they don't have either of those integrations, which is massive. So big ups to Rocket Spark, I tell you.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
That's good to know. Yeah, I was just going to say before about the sort of integrations that we have. From a VA's perspective, you guys have a really good sort of helicopter view of businesses and the systems and processes that they have. And so there's a bit of a rise that I've seen lately in a service called cloud integration. And cloud integration is where you look at all of the different things that businesses use, and you either make suggestions about how to kind of maximize the connectivity between them, or even look at pulling bits and pieces out to make the processes more streamlined. So I imagine most of your folk are Xero partners. And then so, there's a lot of stuff that feeds into Xero. You've got your time management softwares, you've got your booking systems, all that sort of stuff. So from a VA's perspective, having full viewability is quite a really cool thing to be able to look at. And talking about afterpay and lay-by, we did a little bit of research around, it's called post-pay technology, I think is like the catch-all term. And we had a look at some of the e-commerce shops from our end that had introduced afterpay and lay-by into their system, just the growth that they saw by having those as options. And they take a reasonable chunk of a transaction fee each time. I think it's about 5 or 6% of the sale. But what we were seeing like cart value rise by 60 or 70% and repeat purchasing rise by like 90 to 120%.
Wow.
So from a retail perspective, that is a massive increase in opportunity just by having that option available to your customers.
Yeah, absolutely. So what are some of the other trends that you're seeing in websites at the moment, Jason? Like what's coming through as like new design or trends in websites?
Design is always a moving target. It's not really my specialty. I can look at a site and go, wow, that's really designed, but then I can't tell you why. It's just one of those, feelings.
Yeah.
But one of the things we've noticed in our research is that good design overcomes bad functionality. It's not an excuse for bad functionality, but if you think, I don't have all the tools I need, but if you can make it look really good, people will kind of forgive you for not having all of those bits and pieces working as well as they should. But we've seen a big rise in one-page websites, and that's great. One-page websites are good. They're cost efficient. The only thing that you've got to be a little bit wary of is the SEO opportunity there is much less because you don't have as much content as you would on a multi-page website. So it's just one of the things you've got to keep in mind. The other thing that is on the rise is moving image, is videos. I think internet video has just gone from strength to strength to strength. And now it's about how you integrate that into your digital presence. I know from our perspective that we have started investing a lot of time and effort in video content around training videos and webinars. But the other thing that we're doing a little bit for our partner community is some live video interactions, and they're being really well received. I think it's nice for kind of trying to get those touchy-feely messages across rather than that sort of informational stuff. So like, I think you might call it like brand affinity or something like that. People just feel better when they can see and hear what they're kind of dealing with rather than just reading about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And we see that with virtual assistants because it's a trust relationship that a client needs to have with their virtual assistant by having video content. And that's definitely one of the things that I do a lot of is in my VA business is have as much video content as we can because people buy from people, they buy from people that they trust. And so if we're building that trust, via video, it's just a really efficient way to get that trust built.
That's so true. Yeah.
So,
No, that's cool.
Jason, you touched briefly on SEO. Now, we all know that SEO is a beast, and once again, and that's ever changing in terms of what Google ranks you well for and what it doesn't. We've done a few polls in the Virtual Assistant Network a couple of times over the past 8 months or so, saying, hey, which website platform do you use? And it's kind of started conversations over, oh, no, don't use that platform. You're not going to do very well with your SEO with that platform. Now, Rocket Spark, you've worked really hard at kind of making sure that people can really optimize their sites, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Google does change their kind of criteria quite regularly, but that's more on the technical side of things. That's more the stuff that the people that are designing and writing for websites can't really control. From a technical perspective, Rocket Spark, Squarespace, Wix, Weebly, WordPress sites, the structure is all pretty much the same. There's obviously slight differences, but when you compare apples for apples, everybody's kind of on the same level. Where you can really set yourself apart from your competitors is in the stuff that you can control. It's the content that you can create, curate, and the relationships that you form on the internet. We have a lot of investment in content around SEO help. And when you dive into the SEO section of the Rocket Spark platform, there's a really great help guide there, which basically gives you the 5 key things that you need to be doing from an SEO perspective to help yourself. Do you want me to kind of run across a couple of those things, ladies?
Yeah. I've seen the
sure.
guide. I've read it, and it's a great guide. It's really good.
It's really good. And it's a culmination of almost a decade's worth of experience across the board from our entire team, all feeding into this document. But there's some really simple stuff that you can do. And the first one is be aware of what your keywords are. Find out what people are searching for that relates to your business. There's a great tool called Google Keyword Search, and you can Google that, funnily enough, and find it, and you can use it to see what people are looking for. So then what you do is you then go into your website, and especially on the homepage, you go, okay, how many times do I have that phrase appear on my homepage? If it's any less than 3, then it needs to be updated and changed. But don't just go stuffing the keyword in wherever you can, because Google is super smart. Google goes, that doesn't read very well, or that doesn't make a lot of sense. So yes, be very aware of your keywords, but make sure it reads really well. There's some really great businesses out there that have kind of nailed that style of being able to create content that is keyword rich, but also reads really well. There's kind of like content for the people you're trying to sell to and content that works for Google, and they've kind of find the balance of being able to do both. So that's the first thing I would suggest. The second thing is be really aware of your description tag. Now, all the SEO experts out there go, what is he talking about description tags for? So the description tag is the little bit of blurb that shows up underneath your Google result. It doesn't really affect your SEO ranking, but what it does do is it sells yourself to the person who might be clicking through. So in your description tag, that's where you put your nice selling copy. You need to pick me because I have decades of experience and I will deliver results for your business and so on and so forth. That's the kind of stuff you need to put in there. That's the stuff that does the sell. That's kind of the 2 things that I would focus on. And then there's a whole bunch of other stuff that kind of needs to happen too. If you can get some really good PR going and get a story about your business appearing on Stuff, awesome for SEO, especially if you can convince them to put a link in there, because Stuff is a really trusted content provider and Google will rank anything that they've produced on your behalf really, really well. And the other thing that you should be thinking about too is blogging. It's really hard to find cut through in today's blogging world because everybody's doing it. But if I had one piece of advice for you, it's make sure that you phrase your blog as a question. When you Google, I think, how can I see who has visited my website? Rocket Spark comes up, I think, first or second for that. Which was a blog post that we did about 5 years ago, and it ranks really, really well for us. So for the VA network, you might want to do things like, why do I need a virtual assistant? Would be an awesome blog post to have, and then throw a bunch of links in there, perhaps to the VA network, because again, that's a site that's going to have a lot of trustability in Google's eyes. Because you guys have got the directory, eh?
Yeah, we do. So we've got about over 100 now virtual assistants on the directory, and we actually open our blog up to our verified members. So we
Cool.
invite them to do our blog posts once a month.
Cool.
So they get the backlinks that way.
Yep.
We do exactly what you've suggested. Every blog post title, it's a question. It's something that somebody would be typing into Google.
That's right. Because that's what it is. You've got to capture that search traffic where and when you can. And people don't Google, I need a virtual assistant. They always Google, why do I need a virtual assistant or something along those lines?
How to hire a virtual assistant, those types
All
of
that
things.
sort of stuff. And actually, just a little plug for you there, Joe. What I've been really liking on your LinkedIn is like just explaining what you've been getting a VA to do for you. Because I would say that a lot of people are probably stuck in the mindset that they'll do my accounts or they'll do my GST returns, but it's so much more than that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's often we have clients coming to us like, I need help, but I don't actually know what I could possibly delegate, because people are sort of maybe a little, they have their ego says, oh, but no one else could actually do all the things that I do because, only I have the knowledge. But yeah, there are tons of things that, as everyone who's a virtual assistant knows, there's tons of things that people can delegate.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'd love to know some of the new features that are coming out in Rocket Spark or have just been released. Like what's coming? What's next for Rocket Spark?
So for us, obviously, like I said, over COVID, we just saw massive growth in our e-commerce department. So for us, it's about trying to entrench what we've done in the past, but also improve upon the opportunities there. So our user interface and product team are going through some really cool research work at the moment around how we can improve the e-commerce experience for your e-commerce customers. So we're looking at new ways to display products, including, like how to do size guides and do fit bits and pieces. I'm a glasses wearer, as you can probably tell, and there's a fantastic website called Zenni, and Zenni's an online glasses shop. And what I really like about it is that I can basically take a photo of my face, and then Zenni can put all of the glasses frames on the right size in the right place, and I can see what they look like. And so I thought that was pretty cool. So we're looking at all that sort of stuff that we can do around trying to help our e-commerce customers sell their products better. And then the other thing that we're working on is a really cool way to be able to know what you are and aren't doing well on your website. So we've got some really cool tools in place that we're just testing at the moment, which will help you with things like your SEO, things like design. So we can tell you, oh, no, that's not very well designed. You probably want to put a bit more spacing there, for example. So that's all the kind of stuff that's in the works, because again, the whole ethos around Rocket Spark is making it simple. And if we can help you design your website, help you make sure that your SEO is going really well, or with just little hints and help, it just makes your life so much easier.
Oh, you do that, and you do that so well. We love Rocket Spark.
Yeah, absolutely. So my VA business site, strictlysavvy.co.nz, is on Rocket Spark. And I think the myth of, you can't rank very well with the SEO on a platform like Rocket Spark is completely thrown out the window, because I rank number 2, sometimes number 1 for my keywords out of all of the virtual assistants across the country. So if that's not proof that Rocket Spark can get you a good ranking, then I'm not sure what is. So
absolutely. And I'll jump in as well. I've done a few SEO projects for clients in the past, few years with Rocket Spark websites. And obviously it does depend on the competitiveness of the keyword that you want to rank well for. But I've pretty much got them all of them on page 1 really high through a Rocket Spark website. So it's absolutely doable. You do all the things you need to do, and it's definitely possible.
That's awesome. Oh, no, that's really cool. And that's really nice to hear. And so we do listen. We pay a lot of attention to what our customers are saying. We have a really good feedback loop using a fantastic product called Product Board. And so anytime anybody has a suggestion for improvement or for a new feature, we take it on board and we discuss it, and we plan and we prioritize. That's really cool to hear. Thanks, guys.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jason, for joining us today. We're talking all things Rocket Spark, and we absolutely stand by the fact that Rocket Spark is the best option for virtual assistants, especially here in New Zealand. We've seen tons of VAs getting onto Rocket Spark, which is really exciting, and having that great partner program where VAs can actually have a passive income ticking along in the background for all the hard work that they do getting those sites up, I think is just, such a great bonus. So thank you so much for having that available and having such a great support network for those those who have Rocket Spark sites. We love local, and we love that Rocket Spark is right there in Cambridge, New Zealand. So thanks very much for coming on board.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Thank you so much for having me. Always a pleasure to hang out with you. And if anybody's got any questions or any feedback, feel free to reach out directly to us. We're more than happy to chat.
And they can find you at rocketspark.com.
Rocketspark.com.
Nice. So we'll have all of the links and everything that we talked about in this episode in the show notes below, so that you can grab all of the links down there. And also, we've got a special offer for those who are listening, where Rocket Spark has kindly given us a code that we're also going to have down below, where you can get your first month for just $1.
For $1. That's right. Love it.
What can you get for $1 nowadays? You can't even get like a lucky dip for $1, can you? Thanks, Jason. Thanks so much for talking with us today.
Thanks very much.
Thanks to everyone for listening to this episode of the Sam and Joe VA Show. If you'd like to find out more, head to the Savvy School website to check out the amazing Members Club and find more free resources.
You can find us at savvyschool.co.nz.